My wife and I don't have a prenup, but I wasn't making big money before we got married. I mean, I was still in the NFL, but I didn't start making millions till after we got married. And if I'm being 100% honest with you,
You were in the NFL, bro.
if it wasn't for her, I don't know if I'd have got there. Like, and I keep that in my mind too. Like, if it wasn't for her, I don't know if I'd have got there.
Even if you do feel like you have to put a prenup in place because you do have assets, this is somebody that makes you happy. This is somebody that you love. This is somebody that you want to build a foundation with.
That you trust.
Right, that you trust, that you want to build a foundation with. Otherwise, why the hell are you marrying her, right? The core value though is the foundation of marriage is for between you and one other person. So when I got into the topic of, well, would you be okay with there being a clause that if I cheat on you, then fuck it, the prenup is null and void. And you're like, fuck that, why? So that already means that you have no intention of fulfilling the vows that you done said at marriage.
What I'm gonna say first is that a lot of people get married, right? And especially when you're talking about somebody who is at $1 million plus status, right? And then
So were you referring? I'm sorry to cut you off. Were you referring to sports too when you were talking
I'm
about that?
referring to
Just people with money.
Sports.
Money, somebody with money.
It's like they're companions most of the time.
No, I get it. I was just trying to make sure I got the context.
But the thing is, I feel like a lot of times women are companions under certain conditions. Like he said this before. He said women, a lot of these divorces happen once the money is gone, right? He was speaking from a professional athletic side. I'm also seeing that too. Once the money is gone or once the hardships come, a lot of these divorces are filed by women. This is a fact. More divorces are filed by women than it are by men. Mm-hmm. So when you take all of these, it's 80% of divorces.
I thought it was 67. I thought it was 67. It's high.
So you're
67?
because the money's gone,
Wait,
or
hold on,
because in
no.
that time frame,
It
you're
doesn't-
doing whatever the fuck
He
you
was
want
just
to
using
do.
using the stats to build his argument.
There's more than one reason. Maybe the guy might treat her bad. Yeah. Maybe he might have cheated on her. Yeah.
People change.
There are a lot of reasons why divorces are filed, but majority of the divorces are filed by women, right? And from a athletic standpoint of somebody who's been there, he said, I didn't make this up, but I'm gonna use it because I agree with it. A lot of the divorces happen when the money's gone. So that leads me back to what I was saying was women marry with conditions a lot of times.
But men do too.
I mean, men do too, but I'm talking about financial, materialistic conditions. I don't think men marry for financial conditions.
Not financial, but the materialistic part.
Or material conditions either.
So if you marry a woman and you like, hey, you can't put on a certain amount of weight, what would you consider that?
I call that health. Because at the end of the day, when we say we're gonna have a lifetime together, I gotta trust that you are putting yourself in the best healthy position for that whole time.
That health working.
So when it's all said and
Mental health, physical health,
all health.
That's not the leading factor, because when a woman really, really loves a man, she gonna do whatever to try to see him win. And if I'm marrying somebody, it's really gonna be based. I mean, of course, there's women who marry for money, but I'm saying if we're looking at it in a perfect world, are you trying to say that it really resulted because the money's gone, or maybe she's sick and tired of dealing with the bullshit that comes with marrying a fucking athlete?
Honestly, it's a combination of the two.
When we say things about women, it's a problem. You're taking it personal, as if we're talking about you, right? So when we're talking about the women that men are encountering, you are one person. You are not the 67 or the 79% that we're talking about that are divorcing these men that they have, right? When they have these men that are rich, if this divorce rate is so high, you think that they're only divorcing these men because of cheating and what the men is doing? That's my question for you, because that's how you're making it seem to me.
Well, honestly, the thing is, the divorce rate is high regardless of the pedigree. So I feel like when you say that, the divorce rate is the same level even amongst people that are not rich. So what do you mean?
In these locker rooms, how many of them got caught cheating by their girl, but their girl still stayed? If you had to give a general percentage.
From the shit that I've heard though, and like from what people say, And you said the woman stayed?
They stayed.
How many times cheated?
Anything
If you cheated, you cheated, right?
Yeah, at least once.
Did they just
I'd say a
leave?
good 50%. A good 50 to 60%. And then when you put a kid in there, then
It's way
it
different.
gets a little different. Yeah.
But so is it fair to say this? Is it fair to say this, right? If a woman has a man who has all these options and 50% of these men have explored these options, but they stayed and got married, and then they go ahead and become themselves again in this marriage, is that a means for them to just say, I'm done?
Yeah. Because that's not what that's not what we talking about marriage vows.
Yeah,
and like,
that's not what we signed up for.
Yeah, like that's not what you said in front of the preacher.
I gotta interview you, but I'm gonna drink because you just stressed me out. You guided me, and then you left me. You abandoned
I
me.
will tell you this, like, my wife and I don't have a prenup, but I wasn't making big money before we got married. I mean, I was still in the NFL, but I didn't start making millions till after we got married. And if I'm being 100% honest with you,
You were in the NFL, bro.
if it wasn't for her, I don't know if I'd have got there. Like, and I keep that in my mind too. Like, if it wasn't for her, I don't know if I'd have got there.
In what way? Mentally?
Mentally, emotionally, like, I mean, when you work a job where you constantly getting criticized, people talking shit on social media, you know how that shit goes. Like, you need somebody to tell you, like, don't kill yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that got real serious, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
I know what you mean.
Somebody to tell you, like, your dreams are valid. You know what I mean? Like, I'll say this, like, even right now, like, you know, obviously I'm a former NFL player. That shit makes my spleen itch because I do comedy. I didn't quit football to be a former NFL player. I quit football to do music and comedy. Mm-hmm. Even now, my wife is like, you know, that will be the case one day. Like, encouragement, you know, those kinds of things. So I would say she's like a big part of my success.
But may I ask you one question about what you said?
Yeah.
What is the big deal that makes your spine go that way when somebody asks you if you're an ex-football player? Because, let me just say this, because in this world, that's a badge that people are trying to attain. It's a trophy. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing. So when somebody's saying that to you, when they're saying that you're this ex-player, they're saying you went through the trenches, you did your thing, you got drafted, and no matter why you're not there, it doesn't matter whether you got hurt, quit, or walked away. It's a positive badge in this world. Why are you looking at it like it's negative and you don't like it?
Because it's not who I am. Like, when people hear NFL player or ex-NFL player, you think of a certain type of person. And it's not who I am. And like, what I hear when people say ex-NFL player, in my mind, I hear like, your best days are behind you. Mm. You know what I mean? And I know that my best days aren't behind me, but that's what I hear when I hear ex-NFL players. Like, we only give a fuck because you used to play football, but don't nobody even know who I am on the football. Like, I was an offensive lineman, you know what I'm saying? So for me, and I mean, you know, you got grandparents and relatives that fought in the civil rights movement to, you know, give our people a chance to be more than entertainers, and I become an entertainer. I feel like I sold out to my ancestors. Like, I do think that sometimes my ancestors are like, what the fuck do we do all that protesting for? Like, what do we, you know what I mean?
So
like,
you could get on the field and make the money that the other people wasn't making. And I can see how you could spin it and see where you're coming from, but from a person that's not a player, that was a basketball player, I would love for somebody to say I'm an ex-NBA player. That would be like, yeah, that's me. But because it sounds to me, it sounds to you different. To me, it sounds like success.
Yeah,
it sounds like that you were successful in one part of your life already, and now you're going to another part of your life to continue being successful. Maybe that football thing was just your stepping stone, and a chapter. But you're kind of looking at it like, yeah, I did this, but it didn't all work out for me positively, so I don't want to be known as that. But what you're shunning away, to me,
it's an accomplishment.
You had to work hard. You had to get there.
But it's hard. I say this. It's hard. and I don't know if this explanation helps. It's hard being a black man in a Louis Vuitton store and somebody comes up to you and asks, like, what position do you play? Because they just assume that that's the only way you can be there.
I feel you.
It's really hard to be sitting first class in a plane and everybody turning around trying to get an autograph because you got to be famous to be here. Like, what do you do? You can't just be a doctor or.
Yo, I feel you 100%, bro.
Like, and that, honestly, like that shit irks me. Like, it does, and I know that sometimes, like, I will put my insecurities on other people when they say that, but, like, that shit hurts my feelings. Like, it does. And I take it as, like, you know, after what I just explained to you, like, I mean, that shit happens a lot. Like, that shit happens a lot. Especially, I live in Texas. Motherfuckers coming up.
Sports town.
Yeah. We at church, hey, Hoss, what position do you play? You know, I'm just trying to be here with my kids and my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, and why do you assume that all I could do to be here is play football?